Welcome to Six Rings and Counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle, and joining me, as always, the man we wouldn't trade for any number of draft picks, Mr. Dr. Reverend Bishop Lou Willard.
Let me pass that plate on around there real quick. How y'all doing today?
I like that. I like where your head's at.
So y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and we go ahead and start passing this plate around.
Yes. Money me now. Money me now.
Oh, man. What's up with you today, man?
I am excited because before I woke up this morning, I was like, damn, what are we going to talk about on this show? And then we got the big news. The Pittsburgh Steelers are trading George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys in a deal that should be official by the time this recording airs. We're recording on Wednesday, the 7th. This is the day the trade has been announced. All details aren't available yet. However, the trade is expected to be centered around a third-round pick from Dallas and a late-round pick swap. This is all according to Ian Rappaport.
And Adam Schefter reported it as well.
So you know it's real.
Yeah, so when those two together report something, you know it's a done deal. It's just a matter of what the compensation is going to be. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care what the compensation is. Pittsburgh needs a reset. And this guy is part of it. Let Dallas have that headache of dealing with this kid because that's what he is. He's a kid. He's not a grown man. He's a kid. And he's acting like one when his ass need to be growed up and handle it better. Yep. But can you imagine trying to go through a contract negotiation with him?
Oh, no. Well, actually, yeah, I can because we are in some other areas. But
with this guy, it would be crazy.
He's a lot.
He's going to want north of $30 million. Would you give him $30 million a year?
No.
Now you could blame the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh for not giving him $30 million a year, but the problem is, I can go back through the history of the NFL and say, "Oh, this running back should have been way better than what he was, but he played for them." So ain't nobody trying to hear that. It's about what you've done. Elevate your quarterback. Don't front on him. Don't act a fool on the field. Let Dallas have that headache because they'll franchise tag him. Because him and CD is a lethal combination. There's no doubt about it. If this young man wants to play. If he wants to play. I mean, I'm under the thing that Pittsburgh needs to – the next one out the door, like we talked about before we start recording, in my opinion, is Mike Tomlin. And I am a Tomlin guy. But we need a reset and a top 5 to top 10 pick, whether we have a bad season or trade up into there to get – because there's 4 or 5 really good quarterbacks coming out. And, of course, right now, they love Will Howard. Of course they do. Sure. You just drafted him. What you going to say? Yeah, we drafted him, but we don't like him. And the kid's from Westchester. He's from right there. Yep. So, but they need a reset, man. And so getting rid of this, what's going to already a potential cancer. He's a budding cancer. Get rid of him now. Let's move on, get some picks back. And what are we going to do with those picks? You'll never know. Yeah. Because who knows who that third round pick will be.
This trade signifies a couple things to me. First and foremost, my mind went to, this means Aaron Rodgers isn't signing. Because if you sign Aaron Rodgers, you're a Super Bowl contender with the rest of the roster you have. You have a legitimate shot at making a real run. So why would you take away weapons from him? That doesn't make any sense. That would be like if the Jets traded Garrett Wilson before Aaron Rodgers ever showed up.
But see, here's the thing, too. This is where I would tend to disagree with that statement, is because Aaron Rodgers couldn't get along with Garrett Wilson. They could not get along. What make you think he's going to get along with George Pickens? So he may still come, and they brought in the older guys, and we still have no idea what Roman Wilson's going to do because he was hurt all last year. Right. We got a feel for Calvin Austin, and we know what DK is going to do. But if you can roll out there with those 3, and then the veteran they just picked up, whose name I forget because it's always somebody, Robert Wood or something like that. But Aaron Rodgers will do well with those older guys. Calvin Austin is now considered an older guy. The only young one is Roman Wilson. Neither one of them have caused a problem in Pittsburgh. The problem is getting traded today. Right. So I won't rule him out. One thing I would even argue, make a point to not argue about, but discuss is, I bet you Aaron Rodgers might have said, get rid of him and I'll come. Because the dude is a problem.
That is true.
So I could very well see that. Be it right, be it wrong. I could see Aaron Rodgers saying that because of the relationship he had with Garrett Wilson. It did not work.
No, and as soon as you said it, it made perfect sense to me. I want to go back to something you said earlier because I think you're correct with the Aaron Rodgers thing.
Could be.
You changed my mind that quick.
But you very well could be too.
Sure, but you also changed. I'm not as certain as I was.
Okay.
That's how open-minded we are here on this show, guys. We're not steadfast in any opinion. But other than the fact that the Steelers need to get their stuff together. And with that, you said Mike Tomlin should be the next to go. Agree. And that got me thinking, too, about what he's done with his draft picks. Defensively, his draft picks have worked.
Yeah.
Good players. They fit well into the system. They're right there. Offensively?
See, they have, but they haven't worked. His problem is he never came up with a contingency plan for when Roethlisberger retired.
Right.
So now you hung out without a quarterback. If they had taken somebody, like Green Bay did, and took Jordan Love and just let him sit there, regardless of how mad Ben got, leave the kid back there. When Ben left, you plug him in and he plays.
That's it.
I mean, and Green Bay's only done that, twice. Mm-hmm. And it was Rodgers for Favre, and they let Favre walk. And it was Love for Rodgers, and they let Rodgers walk. And both of those guys, if Favre isn't already in their ring of fame, both of them will be. Oh, yeah. And Rodgers is walking into the Hall of Fame his 5th year out of the game. And he's walking into their ring of fame.
Yep.
But they're conducting business. They're not conducting personal. This isn't personal. It's business with them. And it's worked out well for them. They're one of the few franchises that could pull that off. Indianapolis had it pulled off, but who knew Andrew Luck would have the mental issues that he had, and he chose to walk away from the game, which we hope he's doing well. But, there's only a couple teams did it. Pittsburgh never planned for it. You can't tell me you thought Mason Rudolph was going to be that guy. You were just looking for a competent backup to get you 2 games before you got your starter back.
Right. Well, and I guess that's kind of my point, though. Like, he has had an opportunity to draft quarterbacks, and he's drafted Mason Rudolph. He's drafted Kenny Pickett. He drafted Najee Harris. He drafted George Pickens. Like, there's a lot of dudes on the offensive side of the ball for the Steelers that have simply not worked and have honestly kept us from going as far as we should. These quarterback picks by the Steelers since Roethlisberger are terrible.
Are bad. Yeah, they're bad. And that's where he's failing in the draft. He's not necessarily failing in every aspect because Najee was a 4-year back, over 1,000 yards every year. He just wasn't dynamic as people wanted him to be. And all they did this year, if they couldn't have got the kid that they got, Caleb Johnson, they could have kept Najee, but you got this kid on a cheap contract where you would have had to pay Najee whatever he got. What did he get? $8-10 million a year?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. You'd have had to give him that. Now you got this kid on a rookie deal. And he's more dynamic than Najee. But Najee wasn't killing you. He wasn't your problem. George Pickens' play isn't killing you. His attitude is. And the fact that, so part of his play is because he doesn't want to block. And you're going to play receiver for Pittsburgh, you have to block. That's been the way since the 70s. You have to block.
Yep.
But his attitude is what got him shipped out of town. So it wasn't his talent. The only thing that Tomlin has really messed up on, well, not only thing, but 2 big things, is not planning to get a quarterback in for when Ben left. And he started hiring too many of his personal friends. There was no successor at quarterback when there were opportunities to be. You could have went out and traded for somebody. There was you could have drafted some. You're not drafting high, so you can forget that.
Right.
Even though I know I said that's what they need, that's what needs to happen, but they'll have to trade into that because they're not Pittsburgh 5-12. Come on, man. There's still too much talent on that team.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Even with Mason Rudolph, there's still too much talent on the team. So you're going to be somewhere in that middle of the pack, 15, 16. These quarterbacks aren't going to be there at 15 or 16 next year.
No. Next year's quarterback class is going to be insane. And that's kind of like, obviously, one, I'm happy the situation didn't work out where we traded up and took a shot at one of these guys who clearly the rest of the league has said, yeah, they were all projects. Cam Ward is not even a sure thing.
No, but what he is going to a team that their new stadium, which is a dome, is almost complete. So they got to sell jerseys and create a buzz.
Yep.
Cleveland has a stadium going up in Brook Park, which for those of you who don't know is a suburb of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. But they have a dome going up. You got to sell tickets. Shador will put people in the seats, whether he work or not. He might not be the fourth best quarterback on the team. No, who knows?
Out of the 5 they got.
Yes. He might not be the fourth best one, but he could be the best one. But when your dad is already talking about he's going to the first quarterback meeting, wait a minute. If I own the Browns, I'll go, wait a minute, what does this dude say?
Yeah.
If you think you walking in this door to get in my quarterback meeting, you can kiss my entire ass. And if you do walk in, you coming to get your son because I'm just releasing.
Oh, 100%.
Because this is my franchise. Stefanski's coaching this, and I don't know their GM's name, but they running this show, not you.
This is the bullshit that got your son drafted in the fucking 5th round or wherever he got drafted at.
This is why he fell.
And this is what will continue to happen if you do this stuff. And part of this has got to be on Shador. At some point when your father starts talking that old school nonsense that is outdated and not welcome, you got to check him. This is the same thing Shador needs to do. You got to check him.
Because you don't see
I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need my daddy walking me into the quarterback room my first day of school. Are you crazy?
Yeah, you know how embarrassing that'll be if
God.
he pulled that off? I'm telling you, I've never been in an NFL locker room with NFL guys, but I've been in a college locker room with a top 10 program. Yeah. Your ass will be lit up when your dad leaves. You are not living that down. Forget it.
Especially as the
first off, let me tell you. First off, let me just tell you what it wouldn't have happened at Ohio State. So how in the hell I can't see it happening in Cleveland? He can say what he wants, but it would. I know it wouldn't have happened when we were at Ohio State. There ain't no way in hell it's happening in the NFL locker room. No way.
There's 2 places I could see it happening: New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. Because they are the New York Jets and they are the Cleveland Browns. It's the same reason Cleveland drafted 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs.
They figure they got to get one, right?
Knowing you have a shot at the Archie Manning lottery. There's a chance you release 5 quarterbacks next year as you move up in the draft to get Archie Manning. That is insane.
Yeah, but that's what they do.
That's what they do. But, anyway.
But we got our own set of problems.
We certainly do. So, with the current roster, I'm hearing a lot of talk now. Everybody, here's my thought. Let me start this over. Here's my thought as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned. If he signs, he is not signing until OTAs are done. Because he's not going through the same thing he went through last year with the PR hits. Because, believe it or not, to Aaron Rodgers these days, PR hits are more important than football games.
Well, yeah.
So him signing a contract and again not showing up to OTAs would be terrible press for him and immediately started off on the downslope. So my guess is there is a deal in place, despite what I said about him and Pickens and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I think there is a deal in place. But I think it is an unspoken deal that he's not signing that until OTAs are done because he's not going through that again.
He's a June 1st or whenever what is that time at where you get to cut the players and they don't cost you or whatever?
Yep.
The first week of June.
Yep.
He's a first week of June signee, and that's when he'll come in. because he's not on a team. You see what I'm saying? So guess what he can do? He can talk to Arthur Smith every day that he wants to.
Yep.
He can have their playbook.
Oh yeah.
He and DK have already worked out a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
You notice another reason why this trade don't surprise me? Guess who wasn't at those workouts? Pickens. A couple other guys were. Pickens wasn't.
That's a fantastic point.
That's why I think that Aaron might have said, this kid, he's too immature.
Well, even Mike and Omar could have said it behind the scenes. If he doesn't show up for these workouts, we're going to call in one of these offers. And he didn't show up, and they immediately picked up that phone and said, hey, Jerry, you ready?
Yeah, you ready for another headache?
Yep.
But because Aaron Rodgers is going to have sense. Regardless of however I feel about the guy, if he comes, like I said, I'm obviously going to hope he does well because I want my team to win. But man, you're putting a lot of faith in him, especially if you're going to trade a guy because he don't want to play with you. And I know I'm blaming Aaron Rodgers for Pickens getting traded when Aaron Rodgers has never even been in Pittsburgh unless he played him.
Right.
But I can see him not wanting to play and go through what he did last year with Garrett Wilson, even though they were eventually able to work it out.
Well, yeah.
Pickens is going into this contract situation, and that's going to be a mess.
If I'm Aaron Rodgers, and again, this is why you traded my mind or changed my mind so quickly with is he coming, is he not? Because if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I have a receiver that takes plays off, bitches and moans the whole time. And I look at not necessarily the schedule because that gets released next week, but what our games are as far as home games and road games.
I was about to say they still know who they play. They just don't know the exact schedule other than going to Dublin.
There are some hard-hitting defenses where you do not take a play off this year. We got at home just to run these down, and you can highlight anything you want for me. Obviously, the three divisional opponents being the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Bills, Packers, both great defenses. Colts, mid. Dolphins, mid. Vikings, great defense.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks, rebuilding, but still pretty decent.
They're not. Yeah, you're not just going to go in there and boat race them.
No, and those are all the home games. On the road,
that's your home games. Yeah,
the road gets worse as far as defenses are concerned. Ravens, Bengals, Browns again. Bears, Lions, Chargers, Patriots, Jets. Those defenses have all been stacked through the draft and free agency, and we're already going to be good. The Patriots were the worst defense on that list, and their whole defense got rebuilt.
And Aaron Glenn is at the Jets now. Even though I would say they had the most overrated talent, top to bottom, on their defense, they now have a defensive head coach, so that automatically is going to make them better, and they're going to get a lot more out of those guys. The Chargers, I don't like that man, but boy, Jim Harbaugh can coach, and they're going to they're coming to run the ball and play defense. That's what they're going to do. The Bears are just loaded. The Bears. I'll give you a bold prediction now. The Bears will win that division this year with Ben Johnson.
Don't sleep on that Bears defense. That Bears defense is
their defense was good. Their defense was good last year. They just couldn't get out their own way on offense. But that was the head coach's fault. And then the Ravens are going to be the Ravens. The Beacons are probably the weakest defense on this thing. But the thing is, their defense can give you 28 and you lose by 14.
Oh, exactly.
Because they get to bring their offense with them.
Yep.
They have the weakest defense, but the best offense.
Yep. And we really can't predict what they're going to do because they went heavy on defense in the draft. So they could be young, fast, and hungry and not know they're not supposed to be good.
Yeah. It'll really kill them if they get rid of Hendrickson, though. If they get rid of Hendrickson, that's a huge blow.
Yep.
A huge blow. But Pittsburgh themselves loaded up on defense. We laughed about it because we talked about all this show. We got to get offense. Then I did my draft. It was defense. Yep. Let's give offensive player defense. And that's exactly what they did. And that's just a product of me following this team for 40-something years. You just see what's coming. And they loaded up. They loaded up. So it's going to be interesting.
You have to with right now what you got because, again, we can speculate on Aaron Rodgers all day long. First off, my name's not Pat McAfee, so he's not going to come on my show. But second, We're rolling out there right now with Mason Rudolph. That is a stone cold fact. There is zero guarantee that you're putting Will Howard in at any point this season, nor frankly, should you. I don't care if you lose every damn game. Let Will Howard sit.
Yeah, just if you're not drafting the quarterback next year, you let him sit. If your plan is, I'm willing to take a quarterback next year in the first round, then if Mason struggles, you stick the kid in because he might change your mind and play well. Or he could confirm your thought of you need to take a quarterback in the first round next year. So it just all depends on what they plan to do in 26 draft. You know, and no one knows that except the people sitting in those coaching rooms. You know, 100%. That's Mr. Rooney down in the coaches, but that's what they have to look for before you decide what you're going to do with that quarterback room. But if you see Mason struggling and they just leaving him in, Will Howard your quarterback in 2026.
Yeah.
Because they're just leaving him over there for a reason. Or he's simply flat out not good enough. One of the two.
It's going to be one of the two, 100%.
So you still don't know. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, this is an interesting schedule. I'm hoping that we catch a break this year and not do third year in a row with 3 games in 10 days and 3 games in 15 days. I mean, can y'all get them to somebody else?
That would be nice.
And on the 14th, you'll know if Aaron Rodgers is signing. Why? Because Pittsburgh ain't playing in Dublin. They're playing that game They're playing that game in America.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, I stated that wrong. Pittsburgh won't be playing the Packers in Dublin, or they want to take it to Dublin to make sure it sells out. But Pittsburgh's owners are ambassadors, the country's ambassadors for Ireland. So the game is going to be a heavy Pittsburgh crowd anyway. But I can see them, if Aaron Rodgers signing, wanting that Packers game in Pittsburgh because they can jack up those tickets. And that's a Sunday night game or a Monday night game, and it is going to be lit. Him going against his former team. I can't see him giving that one overseas. I look for it to be the Jets or somebody who always go over. Because Pittsburgh going to sell the joint out anyway.
Oh, yeah, especially in Dublin. It's
in Dublin. That's their fan base.
That's going to be a show for sure. I hope. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here over the next couple weeks. Schedule release, obviously coming out next week on the 14th. We'll probably have the show out maybe a little bit later on the 15th because we're going to record that night. So by the time it comes out, it might be a little later on Thursday. But overall, man, I'm still excited about this team this year. I don't even care if it's Mason Rudolph that's running the show for us. Do I think he's going to lead us to the promised land? No. Do I think he leads us to a top 10 pick? Yeah. And that's really exciting because that means we could get our next franchise guy. Here's my last question. I'm going to end on.
No, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
If we have a losing season, which I know doesn't happen, but let's just We'll open the wardrobe. We'll walk into Narnia. We had a losing season. We are actually in the Archie Manning sweepstakes, who's everybody's going to want. If we have a chance to get him, and we had the losing season, on Mike Tomlin's last year of his contract, does Mike Tomlin stay, or are you hiring a new coach before the draft so everybody's on the same page after Mike Tomlin's last season?
No, you keep Tomlin because the Mannings like him. They would trust their nephew and kid and grandson to play for Tomlin. But the thing is, too, you got to keep in mind, this kid's only thrown 69 passes in college. Mm-hmm. So I understand his last name, but this ain't his uncle's plan.
Sure.
Grandfather, it's him. And he gets his first big test right out the gate about a mile through this window behind me, out that way at Ohio State.
Yep.
So he looks like he's going to be good, but 69 passes is not enough. It's not enough.
Well, let's just say the overall number 1 pick. whoever the best quarterback is going to be, you have a chance to get him. Do you still keep Tomlin?
Absolutely. You let him coach his contract out, and you offer him a position in the office. Or if he wants to still coach, you got to let him go because he can always come back to your front office. But what I would offer him is first off, look, coach, it's run its course. Come to the front office. We'll let you help us hire the next guy, but it ain't going to be one of your friends.
Right. If Arthur Smith is the next coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, this show ends because I'm not coming on here to yell every week.
I'll be here like this by myself.
I just knocked Lou into a depressive state. So with that, I'm going to get him on some medication to get him out of his
Maybe a Dolphins fan.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, we're leaving now. For Lou Willard, I'm Corey Idle, who will never be a Dolphins fan. This was Six Rings and Counting, and we will catch you guys next week where we're talking all schedule. Have a good one, guys. Catch you on the flip.